Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode to the Moms. We're your hosts, Amaris and Kathy. How is everyone doing today?
Happy spring, you guys. Spring is finally here,
Woo,
and we are
woo.
so excited.
Finally. I mean, it's raining today. Whatever, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But catch us, complain about the rain during springtime.
I know. We always have something to complain about.
I know. We're never grateful for these seasons.
No, we're not grateful.
But I'm so excited to see the trees, the cherry blossoms blooming.
I know.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
I love it. But on today's episode, I want to talk about I hope I don't cry. I did my makeup. About
you
someone. I might cry.
I might cry too.
I might cry.
I try
not to add too much details because I want to be as articulate as possible. Okay. But today I want to talk about someone who is also very special in my life besides my son, and that is my daughter. Woo. Don't cry now.
Just started, girl.
Yeah.
And we're also ending the month of March, in light of Women's History Month with this episode. We thought that it was very fitting.
Yes, because I am raising my daughter to be fierce and strong and empowered and to lift others when they're down, even when they're up. I want my daughter to advocate not only for my son being autistic, but for other disabled individuals, because I think not that it's up to solely me, but I think it's up to us generation as parents to teach our kids to stand up for what's right and to speak up to what's wrong. Like I just personally think it's very important.
1,000%, and just to be kind overall.
Yes, because kindness honestly triumphs everything. Everything. So to get started, I wanted to talk about parenting both my children, the balance, the fears, and the hope that comes with it. So I want to start off with my daughter. So she's 3 years old. She'll be 4 in a couple of weeks. And throughout, I want to say maybe a couple of months, as of today, we've been really explaining to her about Thane being autistic and how being autistic has its challenges for him. Yeah. So always pointing out things like, oh, you see what Thane did there? He did that because he is autistic. That's something he cannot help himself to do. That's just something that he did. And it's up to us to be patient, be kind, and to teach and redirect him on what to do, what's right. So for a quick example, I think there was one time he had tossed something because he was so upset. Like you could clearly see he was so upset. He was overstimulated. And Abraham was trying to redirect and correct the behavior. And I kind of sat on the couch with her. I was like, you see what he did that? And I would explain it. And then she'd be like, oh, okay. So I always do that with her. So she's starting to recognize that he is different and he does have challenges throughout the day. And she also sees us how we are with him, very patient, very kind, very over explaining, very reassuring and soothing with him. And it's gotten to the point that she's doing it too. So I think Thane has athlete's foot or just very, very, very dry feet because his toes and the creases keep splitting. So there was one time, I think I was gone. Yeah, I actually was gone. I was with you. She had seen that Abraham was putting ointment between his toes. She ran, got the ointment, got some for herself, and was rubbing his feet, saying, "It's okay, baby boy. It's okay.
Aww.
I'll help you feel better." And then he's like, I think in her mind she thought that he wasn't comfortable. She's like, "It's okay. We're just taking our time here. You got it, good." And she's reassuring him, telling him everything was okay. And Abraham was like, who is this little girl?
Aww. Because she sees you guys. She's modeling what she sees.
Exactly. And that almost brought tears to my eyes. And there's been different instances where he would do something and it's something to celebrate because this household we celebrate small wins. And she's like, "Baby boy, you did it. Good job. Dane, I'm so proud of you."
That's so sweet.
It's just so sweet just to see her recognize it. And it's been such a short time that we've been pointing it out because a 2-year-old's not gonna know, a 1-year-old's not gonna know
the difference between neurotypical and
Right. They just see like, oh, that's a kid, let's play. Let's
Yeah.
have some fun. So I'm happy to see that she recognizes it and she is adapting to how we're living on like a constant basis. Now she is 3. So there are times that she does not want to understand. Like there are times that she does annoy him purposely. Like sometimes she'll sing a song and then he's like instantly triggered and then you're just like, hold up. Hold up. You can't do that. Remember, he doesn't like it. I don't care.
She wants to get a reaction. She's a kid. She's a kid.
So I can't be like, what's wrong with you? I'm just like, okay.
Just keep reminding her.
Yeah, I'll keep reminding her and I'll say things like, remember when Thane was doing this to you and you didn't like it and we asked him to stop and he did? It's the same thing, sweetie. She'd be like, okay.
She's like a little teenager.
Oh my gosh, she really is. And she's turning 4. I'm like curious to see
it's insane
how life is going to be with a
4-year-old. Yeah.
I'm no longer going to have a toddler.
No. Yeah. Does it toddler?
It ends like pretty much when they turn 4. I think they're like in that child category, I think.
I think once they turn 5. I think they're still a toddler at 4. I'm pretty sure.
Really? We're going to have to Google
that. Yeah, I might have to ChatGPT that. But every stage is so different. Like Grayson and Cirilla are so close in age, but their stages are so different. It's insane. Like when they're little, obviously as you get older, like the stages become very similar.
Right. Right.
Yeah, like a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, completely different.
Yeah. Completely different. So I feel like I'm leveling up into a new parenting stage and it's so sad.
I know. And then do you want to tell the listeners that she got into preschool?
She did. Oh my gosh. So I've been keeping this on hush hush because I'm like, I didn't want to get too excited or put too much excitement towards it because if it didn't happen again, then I would be sad like I was last year. But she finally got accepted to preschool. She will be starting January 2026. And I know that's like confusing, but they won't have enough classrooms for everyone who was accepted for September of 2025. So they kind of did acceptance for September and January, and we got in through January. To me, a win is a win. I don't care. I don't have to look for childcare. I'm still going to be a stay-at-home mom to her.
I have a question about that. Let's say a spot opened up for September. Like, are you still kind of like in the wait list or like?
No, like I think once, because I accepted January 2026, they're just going to leave it like that and give that spot to someone who is already on a wait list. At least that's what I think they would do. It just sounds easier that way than to do all like the paperwork. But if that is an option, oh gosh, yes.
You're like immediately.
Yes. Well, because we're like, it's gonna stink that she gets to start in January, like after Christmas. Yeah. But we're like, we're gonna take it. We're grateful. We're happy. So I am so excited, which I'm so glad you brought that up because to my next point, Cirilla doesn't get that peer-to-peer interaction. Everyone that is in her life, they're younger than her or they do have a speech delay. So she's always like, what's the word I'm looking for without sounding offensive? She's always like in this constant state of not walking on eggshells, but for lack of better words, like always conscious. She always has to be conscious. So,
like always socially conscious. Okay.
Yeah, or like supportive because like they're young, the child is younger than her, or they have a speech delay, so she can't talk to them. So when she's at the gym, she's talking to older kids, she's interacting with them, and like that's why she has such a difficult time leaving the gym because it's like she doesn't get that at home, so I
worry about that with Grayson because he really doesn't see any other than Cirilla. He doesn't have anyone in his life. There's no one in his life unless like he sees a kid in a playground and they start playing together. But I worry about that all the time, and I'm always bringing it up to Blue, like, is he going to be like socially behind? Like, I don't know. But he's not. Like, he's as of right now, like he's really he's really like approachable.
Yeah.
Like he has no problem like walking up to a kid and like wanting to play with them. But I do worry. I worry about that a lot.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, because that's one
like
of
the older
our
he
worries.
gets too.
Right. Well, by the time he's like 5, he's definitely going to be in school.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I know the number one thing they say is like play skills. Like your kid needs to have good play skills, and teachers can like do the rest. So I'm happy she does have good play skills. And that was another thing I wanted to bring up at the daycare. I call it a daycare. It's not really a daycare. It's like a kids academy. They said that Cirilla has really good play skills, because I do talk to them. I'm like, listen, how is she socially? Is she being kind? Is she, you know, just any question I have, and they're like, no, she's amazing. Like,
that's awesome.
She socializes with the older kids, the younger kids. She's very gentle with the younger ones.
That's
very
amazing.
Playful and respectful. So that makes me very happy, because again, she's not getting that at home, and it is sad to see, because there have been times she tries to communicate with Thane, but Thane, not that he doesn't understand, he doesn't know how to like respond. So his receptive skills, we're still learning about that. So it is sad to see that she tries to talk to him, and then she'll come to us and she'll be like, he's not listening to me. I'm like, it's not that he's not listening to you, baby. It's because he's autistic, and then there goes me explaining that is why we go to speech therapy for him. That's why he goes to the room, and you and I wait in the hallway for him. Like, this is why, so that one day he can talk. He can talk to you.
And you explain to her that every kid is different.
Yeah,
not every child is going to respond.
Exactly. And I do tell her that. I was like, you can't see that Thane's mind is different. You can't see that he can't talk, but when you try to talk to him and he doesn't, you can see that. Just be patient. Just take your time. Maybe tap him on the shoulder. And like sometimes she will do that, and it does work. But recently, over this, I feel like a lot of things happened over the weekend. She had asked him something, and I don't know what the context of the conversation was. He turned around, looked at her, engaged with her, and then I think she asked him another question, and he engaged back. She was so happy. She turned around. She said, Daddy, he listened to me. He understood what I said.
Stop, I'm gonna cry.
And I think she ended up like, I'm so happy. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, it was just...
That was such a moment for her.
It was such a huge moment for her. And having him tell me that it happened, he's like, I almost lost it. I'm just like, we're getting there. We're getting there. Just day by day, we are getting there. All the practice, like we're getting there. And
Thane's getting there too. He's becoming like more and more engaging.
Yes. So before I continue to like ramble on, the whole reason why we brought up this topic is because not a lot of people talk about the siblings I hope I'm saying this right, the siblings to children who are disabled. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah.
I was actually going to ask, I was going to bring that up, like the term that you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the term is, and it's not like a medical term or like anything like that. It's just like, you know how like people say like middle child syndrome. It's kind of sort of like that. A glass child. So what is a glass child? The term glass child doesn't mean the child is fragile. It actually means they are often see-through to the world around them. A glass child is a sibling of a child with disabilities who often feels overlooked because so much attention is given to their sibling. These kids grow up in households where their needs might unintentionally take backseat because their sibling requires more care, support, or accommodations. They're called glass children because in many ways, parents, teachers, and even society sometimes look through them instead of at them. When I learned this terminology last year, I made it my mission to make sure that my daughter is seen, to make sure my daughter knows that she's important, not only in her own life, but in her brother's life too. And then she does play a role in his life. And I never want her to feel like second best. You know what I mean? Or I never want her to think that she is responsible for taking care of Thane. Now, sometimes she does act like she's the mom, and she'd be like, Thane, you have to put this on. Thane, put this on. I'm like, girlfriend, you're his sister, not the
I think that just comes from her and her
seeing
being,
me.
Seeing you, having that sassy behavior. And she's also like very nurturing too.
She is. She's very nurturing. Like, there was one time Thane ran upstairs and she was like, this boy just went up the stairs.
That's you. That's you.
And that was me. And then there was one time, he doesn't care.
Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, I could totally understand the meaning behind the term, because like you said, she's seeing that her brother's being treated differently than her. So that must be really confusing at such a young age.
It definitely is. There are times where he would do something and then she'll like do it too, and I'm just like, wait a minute, just because he did it and you think he got away with it, that's not what happened. And again, there goes the over explaining. And then there's, well, I don't want to listen just because he didn't want to listen. I'm like, but baby, you understand what I'm saying. It's gonna take time for things to understand. And it did start off like that. Like, it for a couple of months, it was like monkey see, monkey do type thing. And it was very overwhelming because it's just like, but you understand me, little girl, you understand me. Like, just, and then what I started to do was telling her if we had a good, medium, or like bad day. And I would explain like why. And then I would also explain like how things could have been done differently. And I think that was like a good switch for her, kind of knowing, did I have a good day, a medium day, or a bad day. Sometimes her bad days are like she didn't eat and she like didn't sleep well. And I'm like, well, we had a bad day because like you're still hungry, you threw your food on the floor, whatever the case is. So I think that has helped her kind of like understand like why, and that over explaining, like, oh, I've come to learn that Cyrilla needs over explanation to understand things, which is fine.
That's okay. Yeah.
But I always, again, she's 3, so it's like you have to choose your words wisely, because you don't want to start talking to them like they're little scholars. It's just like, no, she's 3. She's not going to understand half the things you say. So we got to kind of like put it in 3-year-old terms, right? So my biggest fear with her being a glass child is she sees we give way too much attention to her brother, none for her. We don't do anything for her, that when she's an adult and she grows up and like I'm long and gone, she's not going to want nothing to do with her brother. And then her brother is alone and by himself. And like, I don't want that for my kids. Like, I want my kids
Cyrilla will never be like that.
I don't think she would ever be like that, but that is like my deepest, greatest fear, is having him alone, because like his sister doesn't want anything to do with her. And like, I'm not saying here like my daughter has to take care of him or anything like that. No, of course, I want her to want to do it. And that's one main reason why Abraham started the whole real estate investor business, because he's like, I don't want my daughter financial means to be a burden, because she has to pay everything out of pocket for her brother. God forbid if things come to that way. I want her to have this side hustle where she can run, or she could pay someone to do it, and whatever money they get, that could be for Thane to, live in an apartment on his own, or whatever the case is, so kind of just have like this legacy side hustle. So even though things are like crazy busy right now with everything that he's doing, we know by the time they're adults,
it'll be worth it.
It would be totally worth it, because you see all the time like, oh, my parents, forced me to be the caretaker of like my nephew or my niece,
it
or
happens
someone.
All the time.
It happens all the time, and they talk about how they were always unseen and put back on the back, and that breaks my heart. And I know parents aren't doing it intentionally. We're all just trying to survive and do what's best for a child that can't fend for their own. But I'm not going to let that happen to my child, you know, like, and that's why I'm having a birthday party for her, because I'm like, she's doing so much for a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
She deserves this like little intimate birthday party.
Yeah.
You know? I know in the future, and this might be like controversial, I know in the future when she gets older, I don't know how old, I am going to put her in therapy. I think it's very important for her to have some sort of professional outlet to discuss like what's going on, if, you know, she needs support but doesn't know how to ask, if she needs coping skills, and like whatever I'm teaching her.
I don't think that's controversial at all. I think that's pretty amazing. I think I would do the same thing if I was in your shoes.
Yeah. And then this way, like if her and her therapist do discuss something, the therapist can say, why don't you take her out on vacation?
Right.
I don't need to know why. Just tell me, and I want to do it, because again, I just want her mental health to be good, not only for herself, but for like, you know, just everyone. For me, I think it's very important. So I definitely want that.
Yeah, and you never know, she may be feeling a certain way when she's older, but she could be scared to open up to you and Abe, but she might feel comfortable telling, you know, her therapist, someone else.
Right. Yeah. Who knows? She might develop fears, you know, with her brother being autistic, and maybe like, well, I can't be the best advocate for him because like I don't know what I'm doing, and then she like I don't want her to worry and have all those intrusive thoughts that like I have. You know what I mean?
I know.
I don't want that for my children. You know?
But the fact that you're thinking ahead of all of these things just shows like how amazing of a mom you are.
Oh my God. Thank you.
It's true.
Make me cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because it's just so important, because my goal is I want to raise her to be the best advocate for him when I'm long and gone. Because again, I don't know what the future is going to be like. I don't know. But in order for me to want that, I need to be able to give her all the support, materials, financial being, everything, so that she can be this person I would love for her to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're setting her up for success. You're giving her tools. So that she doesn't feel lost. She doesn't feel confused. Yeah.
You know, like I don't want that for my daughter. And I want her to be a badass girl too.
Yeah.
You know? Like bam. Not physically, like badass. Muscles and all. She's always like, Mommy, I ate my protein. Look at my muscles. I'm like, girl.
Cute.
Those muscles are big. She's like, but I'm not gonna eat my vegetables. Sorry.
At least she's honest. She's so funny.
No.
Yeah.
Her little face.
So Going back to the glass sibling, discussion. I remember you had, this was probably maybe like a year ago or longer, but I vividly remember this conversation. You telling me like you were at a farmer's market with the kids, and I guess Thane had gotten overstimulated, and Cirilla really wanted to stay in that moment, and it was so hard for you to leave.
Yeah.
Like you were so upset about it. Like I wish
it didn't have to be that way. And sometimes I don't remember like what had happened or like the actual place, but there have been a couple of times where she wants to stay, but it's so overstimulating for him that like we have to put his needs first. And at that point, I mean, it's hard for a kid to understand, like, but I want to stay, like, why? And like there have been times that she says like, you love Thane more than me, and that has taken me aback. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, why? And like, she's 3. She can't really articulate like what exactly she means.
But as a parent hearing that, it's like,
ooh, and but like I understood. You know, some parents are like, no, I don't. I literally like got down to her level. I hugged her, and I was trying so hard not to cry, because I'm like, she's 3. She understands what's going on. Like these experiences are giving her these thoughts. Like it's not her fault. And I hugged her, and I told her, I was like, you and I think this is the day that we had a girl's day. I was like, we're skipping the gym. We're having a girl's day. I took her to Ulta to get her new lip glosses. We went to and I think we also went to TJ Maxx. Afterwards, we had lunch at a diner, and I let her order whatever it is that she wants. And I told her, I said, it's not that I love Thane more than you. I love you guys both equally. It's just that Thane, again, here goes all the over explanation. Thane is autistic. Thane doesn't understand blah blah blah, and I'm going on, and I'm like, you are kind of different. I'm like, you understand, and I tell her, I was like, if you do need help with something, the same way I am with Thane is the same way I'm going to be with you. But right now, and again, this is where she's 3, and I'm like, I don't know how to say this. I'm like, you are growing without challenges. And then she'll like kind of like understand. And she'll be like, okay. And like I'll like do things. Like I know I said at the consignment shop I wasn't gonna buy her anything, but when I saw that Elsa doll and she told me she really wanted
Girl, you were gonna buy her stuff.
I was like, I'm gonna go buy. But I brought her that one toy. Usually I'm like 2 toys each. I brought that for her, and I was like, hey, like I have a surprise for you. She was so happy. She was so happy. But yeah, there's times that it's difficult, or like the whole TV in the morning. She's like, but I want to watch this, and I'm like, okay, but Dane's gonna go to school first. You're staying home. Let's have him watch whatever he wants to watch. The moment he leaves out those doors, you can put whatever it is that you want. Sometimes they're easy mornings, and sometimes it's not. And you just have to have patience, and you have to have patience for them too. I think now she's starting to understand because she's seeing like, okay, when he leaves, like I get to have TV, right? I'm like, yes, baby, you can. Like the moment you leave, the moment he leaves, the TV is yours. Like don't worry. She's like, okay, mama. Like she's starting to like understand. Just recently, what happened that we had this full-blown conversation with her. We had to talk about like why Thane wears a tracker to her.
Okay.
And I got down on her level, and I said, remember when Thane ran away from the house? She's like, yeah, and like you left me with that lady, and she was taking me around the house saying, let's go find your brother. It almost kills me that like that's her memory. And I like hope to God like doesn't like traumatize her. So then we talked about like, okay, what could have happened? And then Abraham was like, you understand danger. Thane does not understand danger. Why don't you go running in the streets? And she was like, oh, because it's dangerous. And he's like, but why is it dangerous? She's like, because of the cars. And he's like, that's right. What can happen if a car hits you? She goes, it squishes me. And then Abe's like, that's right. Thane doesn't understand that.
That's a good way to
Thane does not understand that. That's why he wears a tracker, and that's why we always have to hold his hand, because it's gonna take him time to understand. So as like crazy as that conversation is to have with a 3-year-old, it's kind of like unnecessary.
You have to.
I have to. And there was one day I was teaching her how to dial 911 because I thought my son is 5. He doesn't know. I should be teaching my 5-year-old how to dial 911, but I can't. So I now need to ask a 3-year-old to dial 911. And there was a point where, she figured out I was teaching her how to dial 911, and I was just like, she's growing fast. I feel like glass children, not intentionally, but like kind of have to grow fast, and I don't
that
like
makes
that
sense,
because I had to grow fast. Like I had to be the bigger person in every situation, and it sucks when you have to grow fast.
But it also makes them very smart.
It does, and that's why she's so smart. She's so witty with her comments and everything. Oh my gosh, my daughter is so smart. I'm like,
she is.
A lot of the times I'll get, oh, she's your karma. Okay, she's my good karma.
Yeah.
She's my good karma. I say this like with everything of my being, she's gonna change this world. I'm not gonna raise a people pleaser or anything like that. As much as she drives me crazy, I'm not, burning that spark. What is it burning? Taking off that, I don't know. I'm not taking away that spark. Like, I'm gonna let that be lit up as much as I can. And she's needed in this world. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna end it here. Do you have any questions before I end it with my closing thoughts?
I don't think so. But I just want to thank you for bringing light to this, because I don't see parents talk about this. Parents who have autistic children, or have kids on the spectrum that have other kids. This discussion needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, and it's hard too, because I feel like a lot of parents, they only have like one child, or sometimes they have multiple children.
That must be really hard too.
So it's kind of like I only know like one person that I follow and who had brought this up, but no. I don't think it's talked about. I think these glass children, they're gonna be like the best advocate, so strong, so resilient, so absolutely, so smart. They're gonna be so fierce at this world. They're not ready for these kids. They're not, because they're gonna change this world. I truly believe these glass children are gonna change this world, because they're living with their siblings, who are disabled. They're living with their parents, looking at them and watching them advocate, watching them being so patient.
No,
and they're
it's so true. And I've seen it firsthand, and not just children that have siblings that are autistic, like disabled children in general, like a blind brother or sister or deaf or whatever the case is. Like, those people are amazing. Like, those are special people,
Yeah, and if like you think their parents are fierce,
right?
I think siblings, they're like a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah,
because some siblings, they go hard. They're like, that's my baby,
and they're so empathetic. They're amazing individuals.
They're so understanding. Yeah, it's like, oh, I can't wait to see this future generation, because it's gonna be the change that we need in the world. Agreed. But my closing thoughts are, I don't know what our lives are going to look like in the future, but for right now, I'm doing everything I can to raise my daughter with love, with awareness and strength, so that she can be the best sister that my son needs, and for her own self.
I love that. That was beautifully said.
Thank you. Alrighty, guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know what you think about this episode. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, because we're on Spotify. And don't forget to follow our own personal accounts. We're there making content. Woo, woo. All right, guys. Happy spring. Bye.
Bye.